So, weekend 4 of the Premier League. A little bit dull, wasn't it? Hello, I'm Richard and welcome back to my channel over and over and over again, which features everything to do with Arsenal. Now in this video I just want to look back on the Premier League weekend 4, which of course proved to be quite an eventful weekend again. Just before I do that, I just want to make sure that you are all subscribing to my channel. If you like what I'm doing, please click the subscribe button down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up as well, because it does help it to get noticed on YouTube. And if you've got any comments about anything that happened over the weekend, please drop them in the comments box as well, because it's always nice to hear your views as well about what's going on. So, where do we start then at the weekend? I suppose it would be easy to start at the end, wouldn't it? The final 2 games on Sunday evening were quite incredible, probably 2 of the most incredible games ever in the history of the Premier League, actually. But if we go all the way back, rewind back to Saturday lunchtime, of course, the opening game of the weekend saw Chelsea play Crystal Palace at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea ended up running out 4-0 winners, thanks in no small part to some rather strange defending from Crystal Palace in the second half. It was goalless at half time, but in the end, once Ben Chilwell scored a debut goal for Chelsea, they end up running out comfortable winners. Kurt Zouma scored the second goal before 2 penalties from Arsenal target Jorginho completed a 4-0 victory. Chelsea could have won by a few more in the end as well. I say Crystal Palace just weren't in it at all in the second half. Very poor from them, but it puts Chelsea back in the hunt for a position in the top 4. Of course, Jorginho could, of course, end up being an Arsenal player by close of play today, although that seems to have died down, the rumours there at this moment, but we'll see what happens with that one. The second game, of course, was at Goodison Park, where the new leaders Everton beat Brighton 4-2 to maintain their 100% start to the season. Fantastic performance from Everton again. They're playing some really good football at the moment. Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored another goal, his 9th for the season. Of course, he's getting me plenty of points in my fantasy league, which I'm really grateful for. And it was Yuri Mina scored their second. In the second half, it was 2 goals from James Rodriguez, a player who I just put into my fantasy team this week to great effect with 2 goals. Also had an assist as well. Everton's problem seemed to be maybe more at the other end of the pitch, mainly their goalkeeper, who dropped a clanger to allow Mopé to score Brighton's first goal, and Brighton's second goal at the end was a great strike from Bizuma. But I do feel as though Jordan Pickford is their weak link in the Everton side, and I think it's an area that they need to look at if they are going to be seriously challenging in the top 4 this season, because they're not going to keep getting away with these mistakes throughout the season, are they? The third game on Saturday was another exciting game at Ellen Road. Leeds United against Manchester City. Of course, Leeds have been the real entertainers this season so far, playing some fantastic football, scoring goals. They've actually been a little bit more solid at the back in the last few games. Of course, Manchester City helped them a little bit by turning up without a recognised centre forward. They played a bit of a strange system actually, and Leeds were unfortunate not to win. City did take the lead with a Raheem Sterling goal, but this game maybe showed his limitations a little bit. When he's playing through the middle, when he's one-on-one with goalkeeper, he doesn't seem to have any composure. His finishing's terrible. He's okay tapping in from 4 yards or scoring the type of goal that he did in this game, cutting in from the left-hand side and curling a shot in with his right foot. But if he's got any time to think about anything, generally he tends to fall over his own feet or something like that, doesn't he? And I think that was another problem that Man City have got. Of course, Leeds, credit to them, they were brilliant throughout the game. They've got no fear, have they? They play some great football. They got a goal. It was Rodrigo got his first Premier League goal for Leeds in the second half, and they were unlucky not to win it at the end. They had a few chances. Man City were hanging on a little bit, and it finished in a draw. I do get the feeling that, with Man City having lost 5-2 to Leicester at home the week before, Pep's maybe in his final fling at Man City. He seems to have lost all his motivation for the job, and I can see him being on his way out fairly soon, actually. The final game on Saturday saw Newcastle beat Burnley 3-1 up at St James's Park. Typically, I'd take St Maximum out of my team, and he has a great game with a great goal, and also an assist as well for Callum Wilson. And Newcastle played well. They look a much better team than St Maximum's playing. They struggled in the meantime when he was injured. He makes a massive difference to them, and Callum Wilson, of course, is scoring goals from. I think that's 4 he's got this season from already. The second one from the penalty spot. Burnley look to be in trouble, don't they? They've got a lot of injuries. They've lost all 4 games and they're really struggling now at the bottom of the table. They did score through Ashley Westwood, a good strike actually, but they desperately need some players back from injury or a couple of new signings, or it could be a very long season ahead for Burnley. Move on to Sunday, of course, where all the drama would happen, and it started quite early on with the first game of West Ham away at Leicester City. Of course, Leicester came into the weekend top of the table with a 100% record. Of course, on the top of that 5-2 victory at Manchester City the week before. But West Ham fully deserved their 3-0 victory. Really comprehensive performance from West Ham. They were fantastic all the way through the game. Fully deserved a victory. Got 3 good goals as well. Mikel Antonio, quite surprised he's not in the England squad, again scored a great goal. And then it was 4-0. And Jared Bowen as well, who's come in massively, hasn't he, since he's joined West Ham. Another goal for him, following on the 2 he got against Wolves the previous week. So 2 weeks in a row. David Moyes has not been at the game due to testing positive for COVID-19, and they've scored 7 goals and conceded none. So brilliant play from West Ham. The second game was at Southampton at St Mary's, probably one of the least eventful games of the day. Southampton routinely beat West Bromwich Albion 2-0. Unfortunately, Danny Ings, another one of my fantasy players, couldn't add to his 3 goals he's got so far this season. It was Romeu and Gineppo that got the 2 goals for Southampton. They won quite comfortably, really. West Brom are another team that look as though they're in trouble. I can see them dropping straight back down to the Championship, unfortunately. And it was, a comfortable victory for Southampton. Of course, the 2 o'clock game on Sunday, the first one was at the Emirates, our game against Sheffield United, which I've already covered on a previous video. Not the most inspiring performance from Arsenal, but we got the 3 points, which is the main thing. Of course, Sheffield United remain in deep trouble with 0 points on the board for them after their 4 games. At the same time, Wolves were playing Fulham, and Fulham are another team who look as though they're going to head straight back down where they came from. Again, they've got no points on the board. They were beaten 1-0, a goal from Neto, not Jimenez. So again, one of my fantasy league strikers not getting a goal for me this week. Very disappointed in their performances. But Wolves did scrape the game 1-0. Fulham were maybe slightly unfortunate actually. They had a couple of chances towards the end to snatch a draw, but Wolves held on. An important victory for them because they've not had the greatest of starts to the season, and that might give them a bit of a lift. Then of course we moved on to the final 2 games, of course, where all the drama and excitement happened. The first game at Old Trafford, of course, Manchester United against Tottenham. A tight game was expected here. It got off to an explosive start, didn't it, when Man United got a penalty in the first minute, which was actually a penalty this time. No need for VAR to get involved. And Bruno Fernandes, of course, done his Jorginho impression from the spot, tucked the ball away to give Man United an early lead. But Tottenham came back to score twice in the next 5 minutes. Not great defending from Manchester United, and Harry Maguire in particular, who's being exposed for the very average player that he is. Another England player, much hyped, but not justifiable hype either, is it? Because he's clearly not very good. And this was exposed by Tottenham. It was Ndombele who got the equaliser before Son scored. Then of course you had the red card, which kind of changed the game. Very, very soft red card, wasn't it, for Martial? He barely touched Lamela, who went down as though he'd been shot. Which made the referee force the red card. It was really bad play from Lamela, really, really poor that was, but sums up Tottenham as a club. They don't worry about things like that, it just sums them up really. And of course they took advantage of that. We don't like to give Tottenham any credit on this channel, but it has to be noted that they've now scored 11 goals in their first 2 away games, which is quite an impressive total. Yes, they were helped by that red card, but they did take advantage. Son scored 2, Harry Kane scored 2, including a penalty, and the other goal was scored by Aurier, of course. Yes, Aurier, great goal that was actually from Serge Aurier. But we don't really want to dwell too much on that. Let's instead focus on the fact that Manchester United look absolutely dreadful. They've lost both their 2 home games, conceded 9 goals in those 2 games, and it's quite hilarious. Of course, the final game was where probably produced, I would say, the biggest shock result in the history of the Premier League. Actually, an unbelievable result from Villa Park. Aston Villa 7, Liverpool 2. Yes, Aston Villa 7. The champions losing 7-2, and it could easily have been a lot more as well. Liverpool made so many mistakes in this game, probably more mistakes in this game than they've made in the previous 2 Premier League seasons put together. It was quite remarkable. It just goes to show as well, really, when your second choice goalkeeper isn't particularly good and they're forced to have to play a few games, this is where it can cause you problems. And Adrian highlighted that issue with a quite frankly dreadful performance in goal for Liverpool, gifting Villa goals right, left and centre. Doesn't help that Van Dijk for them is having a particularly poor start to the season, isn't he? I'm not sure what's going on with him. He wasn't helped out by his partner Gomez, who was even worse. But let's give credit to Aston Villa, actually. They were brilliant. And also, of course, the young lad Ollie Watkins, of course, who scored a hat-trick, his first Premier League goals. Just goes to show, doesn't it? There's some great talent out there lower down the English leagues. Everyone seems obsessed with buying foreign players from foreign leagues. There's plenty of talent in England in the lower leagues, and Ollie Watkins proved that. What a great hat-trick it was. The perfect hat-trick as well. Left foot, right foot, header, all in the first half. He could have scored a few more, couldn't he, hit the bar in the second half as well. A great performance from him. Of course, a good debut as well for Ross Barkley, who got on the score sheet as well. McGinn scored 1, and Jack Grealish as well got 2 in the second half, although they were both deflected and could quite easily have gone down as own goals. But I was delighted that they wasn't, because Jack Grealish is another one of my fantasy players. And Mo Salah did score the 2 goals for Liverpool, but I'm sure he won't be celebrating that at all, as it was a remarkably poor performance from Liverpool. In fact, it's the first time the reigning champions of English football have conceded 7 goals in a season as defending champions since 1953. On that particular occasion, Arsenal were the champions and they lost 7-1 against Sunderland. But in mitigation, Arsenal did lose their goalkeeper very early in that game. And as there was no substitutes back then, they had to play most of the game with 10 men and with an outfield player in goal. So that would kind of excuse that 7-goal defeat there. Liverpool didn't have quite the same excuses, really. They were just dreadful on the day. And I think that almost summed up their quite sloppy start to the season, actually. I know they'd won their previous 3 games, including beating us, of course, last Monday, but they haven't been anywhere near as impressive pretty much since the turn of the year, actually. I think 2020 Liverpool have been quite poor, and I think this performance was the accumulation of that. Now they've got an international break, we'll have to see how they come back, whether they can regroup. Their high defensive line doesn't seem to be working at the moment, does it? So that's another issue that they need to look at. But I say very, very poor from Liverpool. But let's give credit to Aston Villa. They've had a great start to the season now. 3 wins out of 3. It's only them and Everton, I believe, that have still got a 100% record in the league. So brilliant for them. Obviously, I'm pleased for Emi Martinez as well, although he did let in 2 goals, which clearly is not good enough, is it? But anyway, well done, Aston Villa. And let's laugh at Liverpool. So that's that then. That's a roundup of weekend 4. Probably one of the most incredible weekends of the season. I mean, it just seems to be getting better and better each week, doesn't it, with what's going on. Goals galore, defending seems to be out the window. If you're going to start picking defenders in your fantasy team, you need to maybe look at defenders that are going to take penalties or score goals, because there's not many clean sheet points to be had, is there? There's no defending going on in the league so far, which has been great to watch. I must admit, Project Restart, when it began back in June, I didn't find it particularly exciting. I thought the games were quite dull and boring, but you certainly can't say that about this season, can you? Four weekends in, it's just been incredible. Really, really exciting stuff to watch, and the shock results as well. Anybody can beat anybody. Score predictions are out the window. You can't predict the scores, can you? Because they're just none of it's making much sense at the moment, is it? It maybe makes our start with 3 wins out of 4 to be pretty good, really. When you look at, we're above Liverpool, we're above Man City, we're above Man United, we're above Tottenham, we're above Chelsea, so we've had a good start in that sense. Let's see if we can keep it going. Of course, our next game after the international break is away against Manchester City, who of course have got a few problems of their own, so let's see what happens there. So that's that for now then. I say, if you like what I'm doing on this channel, please click the subscribe button. Please give this video the thumbs up. Obviously, it's transfer deadline day today, so tomorrow I'll be doing an in-depth look at Arsenal's transfer activity, how good or bad the window has ended up being for us, and where it leaves us going into the rest of the season. And I'll be doing another live show as well, a positive Arsenal podcast later in the week. Lots of things to discuss as we head in towards the second international break of the season already. Seems to be quite too many of them, but anyway, that's maybe for another day and another show. But that's that for now. So thanks for watching, thanks for the support of the channel. If you've got any comments about the weekend's games, I'm sure you will have, because lots to talk about there. Please drop the comments in the comments box, that would be great. I say please subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for the support, thanks for watching, and of course in the meantime, as always, come on you Gunners!